Alright guys, so let's pretend I walk up to a spectator and I ask them, do you have a good sense of touch? I'm just wondering because, as you know, I'm a magician, and as you know, I like to play with cards a lot. And recently, I've actually been trying to develop this pretty cool skill where I can just take a card, place it face down on the table, and just by feeling it with my hand, with my fingers, I can actually try and guess what that card is. I'd say I'm right about 75% of the time, not to brag or anything. But I'd love to try it out with you guys if you have the time, if you're down to see it. So yeah, and actually I'd love to borrow a deck of cards because, you know, I don't want you to think that I'm using a special deck or anything. So, okay, let's say we borrow a deck of cards from a spectator, okay? We can get rid of the box for now. Pretend I give it to the spectator, not just throw it away. We'll have the spectator shuffle the cards as much as they want to. Okay, great. And once they've shuffled, I'll just spread the cards out here so you guys can see all the cards completely shuffled here. All right, great. So for this, I actually need 3 different spectators. So 1, 2, 3 spectators. All right, so spectator number 1, I'll spread through the cards. You can go ahead and touch any card. Let's say they touch this card here, okay? Take that card. And spectator number 2, you can touch another card. Let's say this card over here. Spectator number 3, can also touch a card. Let's say this one over here. Okay, great. So 3 cards randomly chosen from 3 random spectators. So we actually don't really need the deck anymore. So I'll set it aside for now. And I would have all the spectators look at their cards and just try and remember them the best they can. So I'm gonna turn my head, I promise. I know you guys can't see my face, but if you guys could see, I really am turning my head. So this is spectator number 1. This is spectator number 2, okay? And this right here is spectator number 3, okay? So go ahead, remember those cards the best that you can, okay? I promise I wasn't looking. That's the whole point of this trick. I don't want to look at the cards whatsoever. So I'm gonna take the cards here and just place them in my hand. And you know what? I'm gonna actually start with spectator number 3's card, okay? So I'll set it over here, and I'm just gonna try and place my hand on it, and I'm gonna try and guess your card. So remember the card that you selected. Okay, interesting. I'm a little bit nervous, I'll be honest with you guys. I'll try this. I'm not quite sure if I'll get it right. I feel it's a red card though. Okay, and it's also a, can't tell if it's heart or diamonds. I think it's a diamond. And, okay, you know what? Okay, honestly, I'm not quite sure. I'll just say Jack of Diamonds. Okay, I mean, that was a little bit close. It was the Queen of Diamonds, but it could have been better. So you know what? I'm sorry. That was just, you know, first try. Everyone gets it wrong on the first try. So I'll try and step it up on the second try. So the second card here, your card, spectator number 2's card, okay? So watch, place my hand on it. Okay. Okay, I think this is better. I think I'm feeling it now. I think this is a black card. Okay, yes, this is for sure a spade. I'm gonna say 7 of spades. Yes, okay, great, 7 of spades. Okay, I was pretty close on the other one, but this one I got right, 100%. Okay, that's fantastic. Okay, so last but not least, we have spectator number 1's card. So we'll set it down over here. And, oh yeah, okay. You know what? I am 100% confident with this one. Queen of Clubs. There you go. All 3 cards. Just like that. 3 freely chosen cards, shuffled deck, borrowed deck from a spectator. Nothing in my hands. All the cards are normal, and yeah, you can check out everything. So yeah, that is the trick, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to stick around for the tutorial. Alright guys, so here's the tutorial for the trick that you just saw. So yeah, in my opinion, this is a really fun, impromptu opener for any good routine. I think it's a really, really strong effect. With a borrowed deck of cards, spectator shuffles it, and you can just guess 3 random cards that they chose in the deck. It's really, really cool. So yeah, this is my original handling off of what's called the one-ahead principle. There's many, many different tricks that use this principle, and the first one that I can think of off the top of my head, there's a trick by Jay Sankey called Against All Odds, which uses this principle. The trick is pretty similar to this one, but it's a little bit different, where instead of the magician guessing the cards, he has the spectator guess 3 different cards in the deck, and then he places them in his pocket, and later he pulls out the 3 cards, and it's the exact 3 cards that the spectator had guessed or freely named. So the idea of this trick is a little bit similar to that, but the handling and the actual method is actually a little bit different. So before I actually teach you the method of the trick, I just want to talk a little bit about the presentation of this trick, because I think that's one of the most important parts of this trick. So it's a 3-phase trick where you have 3 different cards chosen. Now, yes, you technically could have all 3 cards chosen and you could guess every single one of them perfectly correct every single time. The only problem with that, the effect gets very stale and very predictable after doing the same thing 3 times in a row. So I think it's better to kind of shake it up a little bit, especially with the first card. That's what I did to change it up a little bit. I actually got the first card just a little bit wrong on purpose, just to make it seem, 1, a little bit more realistic, and 2, to make it differ from the other 2 phases where you actually do get the hit right and you actually do get to guess the card right. So what that does is it makes the trick a lot more realistic, because it makes the spectator really believe that you do have this incredible skill and you can really try and sense what the card is. And it's okay if you get it wrong, because it's the first time and you're trying to guess it. You might be a little bit nervous, like that would be a normal excuse for getting it wrong. But then when you do it the second time and then the third time, it keeps building, and it becomes more and more impressive when you get the cards correct in the second and third phases. So yeah, in my opinion, I just think having the 3 phases be a little bit different from each other, it makes the effect a little bit more dramatic, a little bit more theatrical, and a lot more fun to watch for the spectator, and a little bit more fun to perform, because you get to play around with your acting skills, and I think it's a fun trick to perform. So without further ado, let's get into the tutorial for how to actually perform this trick. So like I said, completely impromptu. You can do this with a borrowed deck of cards from a spectator. So the spectators will shuffle the cards as much as they want to, and this is what you're going to do first. So when you take the deck back from the spectator, you're going to spread the cards on the table face up, and just make sure you have a table for this trick because it's very important. You're going to be showing the spectator that all the cards are shuffled, but at the same time, you're actually going to be peeking at the 4th card from the top. So in this case, I'm gonna remember the Jack of Clubs. And this is actually going to be spectator number 3's card, or the card that you actually first guess. This is gonna be the card that you remember. So Jack of Clubs. Okay, I'm gonna remember that card, and I'm just gonna square up the cards and hold the deck face down. So now what I'm gonna do is have the 3 spectators choose their own selections. So I'm gonna turn to spectator number 1, and what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna be culling the 4th card underneath, and I'm gonna be getting ready for a spread force, but I'm not going to be forcing it on spectator number 1. I'm not going to be forcing on spectator number 2. I'm actually going to be forcing the Jack of Clubs on spectator number 3, which is kind of interesting. So what you're going to do is cull the card underneath like this. So now you have the Jack of Clubs underneath, and you're going to have spectator number 1 literally choose any card that they want to. And just make sure they choose one from the top half and not from the bottom, because you want to keep the same consistent spread going for all 3 spectators. So you just want them to choose a card somewhere towards the top. So let's say they choose this one and they can really take it out. And now spectator number 2 also has a completely free choice of a card. They can take it out of the pack as well. But now spectator number 3, you're going to be forcing the Jack of Clubs on them. And how you're going to do this is they're going to just touch a card. Let's say they touch a card here. And since you've culled the Jack of Clubs underneath, it's actually going to be on the bottom of the packet now. If you kind of tap the cards and square them up, now the Jack of Clubs will appear to be that card if you slide it aside like this. So you basically switched out this random card here for the force card. So now you're going to be forcing that card on the spectator, and now the spectator will have the card that you peeked at earlier. And these other 2 cards that the spectators chose are truly random. You still don't know what these cards are yet. So now you can take the deck and you can set it aside. You're just going to take the cards normally, and you're not going to look at the bottom. You can even turn your head at this point. Just take all 3 cards, 1, 2, and 3 in that order. So at this point, you're going to say, okay, you know what? I like to work backwards, so I'm going to start with spectator number 3's card. And as you say this, you can point to them, look at them in the eyes. What you're gonna do is actually a second deal. It's gonna look like you're taking the top card here and setting it down, but you're actually gonna be setting down the second card, okay? And you can do that by doing any type of second deal that you want. It's a little bit weird with 3 cards, but it's actually a little bit easier than normal, in my opinion. Just lift up your hand a little bit and peel off the top card so your thumb can get in there to get the second card down. That will allow you to take the second card instead of the top card. But in the spectator's mind, they think this is spectator number 3's card. And now what you're gonna be doing is some acting. So the card that you're gonna be showing is the Jack of Clubs, but what I like to do to spice it up is I kind of like to get the card a little bit wrong. So what I like to do is, since I know it's the Jack of Clubs, I'm just gonna name a card that's similar to the Jack of Clubs, like maybe the Queen of Clubs or the 10 of Clubs. Just, maybe 1 or 2 cards off from the actual force card. That will just help spice up the trick, like I mentioned before. What you're gonna do is place your hand on this card, and you're just gonna say, okay, so I think it's a black card, it's a club. I'm just gonna say it, I think it's the 10 of Clubs. Well, you can say whatever you want. And now what you're gonna do is you're going to be checking this card to see if it's right. Now, what you're gonna be doing here is the one ahead principle, because what you're gonna be doing essentially is taking this card, placing it on top, and doing a double lift to show the Jack of Clubs, which means that the Jack of Clubs is already here. So what is this card? Well, this is actually going to be the next card that you guess. So when you peek at this card to check if you got, the 10 of Clubs right, you're going to look at this card, and this is going to be the next card that you guess. So now you have the one ahead principle in play. So now you're already one step ahead of the spectator. So you're pretending to see if this is the, the Jack of Clubs or whatever, but now you're actually secretly getting the information for the second spectator's card, because this is actually the second spectator's card. And now what you're going to do is place this card on top and do a double lift, because they still think it's the Jack of Clubs. So if you do a double lift, now it really looks like that card was the Jack of Clubs. And now, since you guessed this card a little bit wrong, you can say, okay, it was my first time, might have been a little bit nervous, we'll try it again. But I was pretty close, right? And now what you're gonna do is take the double, turn it back over, and just get a double lift ready again. So get that Jack of Clubs ready again, like this. And you're gonna take the double and place the double on the bottom. So you're gonna take the top 2 cards as one card and place both of those cards on the bottom. And now you're gonna take the top card. This is not a second deal. This is just a normal deal. And set the card down onto the table. Remember the card that you peeked at, it was the 10 of spades. So that's gonna be the card that you guess here. Now I'm feeling a spade, I'm feeling it's a 10, I think it's the 10 of spades. You're gonna check the card again to see if it's right. And now once again, you're gonna be one step ahead, because this card right here is actually gonna be the last card that you guess. So when you look at this card, now you have the information for the last step, and you see 8 of spades. Okay, I'm gonna lock that in my head as the last card that I'm going to name, but I'm gonna act like it's the right card. I'm gonna say, yes, okay, and now I'm gonna get ready to do a double lift and show, yes, that was the correct card, the 10 of spades. And the spectators will now believe that this card on the table was the 10 of spades. So great, that was the second card. So now you're gonna take the double, turn it back over, and get the double back again. So you're gonna do exactly what you did before. Take the top 2 cards as one card, and move both of those to the bottom together. And now what you're gonna do is another second deal. So you're gonna take the final card here and say, okay, so now I'll guess spectator number 1's card. And you're gonna do a second deal. And now the beauty of this is you can actually take these cards and turn them over, because you don't really need these anymore. This is already the card that you peeked at. You already know it's the 8 of spades. So all you have to do is place your hand on top and say, okay, I'm gonna say the 8 of spades. And I don't even have to check, because I know it's right. And then you can flip the card over, and then boom, that would be the end of the trick right there. So yeah, guys, that is essentially the entire trick right there. I hope it wasn't too confusing, because I know the one ahead principle can be a little bit confusing. You kind of just have to practice the trick and get used to it, but once you get the hang of peeking at the card secretly and getting the information that you need for the next step of the trick, it's really easy to fool the spectators with this trick, because they really think what you're doing is real, and it looks really, really good. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. See you guys for the next one. Bye.